in-depth, investigative. This is KXAN News.
This is one of the most important days, in my opinion, in American history. It's our declaration of economic independence.
Among the sweeping tariffs that President Donald Trump announced just half an hour ago is a 25% tariff on foreign vehicles that goes into effect tonight at midnight. There's also a 34% tax on imports from China, a 20% tax on imports from the European Union. Tariffs will also hit South Korea, Japan, Taiwan, and many other countries. During today's announcement, the president said that he claims factory jobs will return here to the U.S. as a result of these taxes. However, experts say they believe his policies could cause a sudden economic slowdown and price hikes. Joining us now for some insight about all of this is Professor Edward Anderson with the University of Texas at Austin. Much of his research focuses on supply chain issues, and we've turned to him quite a bit in the last few months to talk more and more about these tariffs. But Professor Anderson, welcome back and thanks for being with us.
Oh, thank you so much.
Glad to be. Yeah, we heard there from the president talking about at least there would be a baseline 10% tariff and various other percentages for other countries. What are your main takeaways after listening to what the president laid out there?
I think the main takeaway right now is that there is that the tariffs are actually going to be charged there. Now we know what they're actually going to be. There's been a lot of uncertainty as to what would actually be imposed over the last couple of months. And so companies have had trouble even figuring out how they would change their investments and or supply chain arrangements and so on. And so there really hasn't been anything going on, and investments been postponed and so on. So this will help companies out quite a bit. Now they can actually make plans as to what they're going to do, where they're going to invest in building plants, for example, in the future, how they might change supply chains to use more domestic parts and so on.
I think we'll have to wait until tomorrow to see how this all will affect the stock market out there. There's been quite a bit of upheaval in the past few months over some of these announcements trickling out from the Trump administration. What do you think we should expect when the markets reopen tomorrow?
Well, I have to admit, I am not a finance professor, but having said that, I would expect there's two forces moving on. Number one is that the tariffs may actually be higher than was expected by the market. So that's one thing, because they're including the impact of non-tariff trade barriers. So it's not just like with, for example, vehicles going to the EU. There's a 10% tariff in Germany on our vehicles, and we have a 2% tariff in the other direction, actually 2.5%. So it's not as if we're just going to raise it to 10%. We're going to raise it higher than that because of non-tariff barriers. So that's one thing. But then the force that will be pushing things up is that now companies can actually figure out what they can do, and they can move forward with their plans. So there's two forces, one moving up and one moving down, and which one's going to dominate, we'll have to see.
Yes, of course. We'll have to keep following this as we learn more and more details about this and about the reaction to it too. But I do want to ask you finally, before I let you go, Professor, let's talk about those cars made in foreign countries. What do you think of that 25% tariff that's going to be placed on those now? How much will that impact other drivers and people out here in America?
There will be a significant impact. For example, a lot of us buy vehicles from Japan. They're made in Japan, or especially Europe, Germany in particular, and those prices will go up by 25% coming into the country. That'll be the cost to dealers, and then dealers will probably pass a lot, if not most of that, on to the consumer. In addition, one thing that was not mentioned, but is also going into effect, is that the duties are paying not only on automotives, but also automotive parts. So domestically produced vehicles will also have an additional cost increase as well.
Well, Professor Edward Anderson, we could talk to you for quite a little bit longer this afternoon based on all of this, but we will have to check back in with you as we continue to monitor this situation. But thank you so much again for joining us this afternoon, providing this insight. We always appreciate it.
It's my absolute pleasure. Thank you.